I move for no man, no man, no man, no man, no
We'll call it a draw.
no man.
Just a flesh wound, 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 just a flesh wound.
So I'll be like, if you want to represent this podcast, you have to have at least 8-inch dick, right?
Or it could be super small. If it's like really, really small,
And have
you
that,
can't have no regular sticks. That
and
has
have,
to be either really or really big.
and have that disease. What's it called? It's like,
Coronavirus.
yeah, the coronavirus dick syndrome.
I'm actually going to be legitimately scared when I go back to fight in Asia to like bone hookers because I feel like they're probably going to be the most likely to have the coronavirus on them.
Oh,
Like, think about how many dudes they come in contact with in close contact, you know?
Yeah,
That's the most of Gary's worries.
That's a real concern. That's way more concerning than the actual title fight, for sure.
That's
I mean,
great.
you gotta-
So the podcast has started, bro.
On that note,
Like right now or like before that point?
Yeah, I don't know. The whole
I
hooker
think it
comment
should be right
may
now.
or may not have been in the podcast.
That definitely should
May
not
or may
work.
not have been in the podcast.
we should definitely get a poll going to see if this is the favorite part of people's podcast, of listening to our podcast, is the part that where me and Gary don't know we are.
He literally just lets us know at random. Sometimes it's from the very
And-
beginning, other times. And then he'll chastise us. He'll be like, oh, guys, we always do it this way. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Nope.
I feel that's when the epic moments come out. So,
All right.
Yo,
fair
what's
enough.
up, guys?
Fair enough. What's up?
What's up? What's
man?
up?
7 podcasts in.
Hell yeah.
We have over 2K downloads in less than a month, guys. I feel like that's pretty good, right?
I don't really know. I don't know what podcasts do.
Well, it's you have to actually go and download, a segment that's 40 to 45 minutes long. So you have to be interested. You have to go somewhere. You've never downloaded a podcast, Gary?
I don't know if I download them. I usually just stream them, I think. I don't think I actually download because like I watch the only one that I listen to consistently right now is Chaels. And when I just look it up and then I think I'm streaming it when I click on the link. I don't think I'm actually downloading it.
Well,
Is that
you
a
have
good
to
one?
go-
I got
Sorry?
it. Is that a good one? The Chael?
So the reason that I listen to Chaels podcast is because I think it gives an interesting insight into like the promotional aspect of fighting. So
Mhm.
a lot of people, when they have like a fight podcast, they're just talking about like current events and stuff. But when he talks about it, like because his whole career, he's spent like self-promoting and doing like a lot of interesting things to like get more attention for his fights. He talks a lot about the promotional aspects of MMA. And not only does he talk about it, like he has like actual expertise because he was good at it. Right. So
Yeah.
I'm always looking for advice from people that have actually done shit before. And it's very rare to find somebody that was in the fight game that has promoted themselves well and someone that is actively talking about it and what
Mhm.
other people are doing. You know what I mean? He's pretty good at giving like current event examples of it. Like, I don't even know if it's intentional or if it's just something that's like meaningful to him. So he just accidentally talks about it. You know what I mean? But either way, like I get value from that. Like I get value from like listening to him talk about fights and stuff too. That's cool. But that's the main reason that I watch it or listen to it. So
Well, he's
Cool.
just a super interesting guy anyway. So
yeah. He knows how to tell a story for sure.
yeah, it's a fact.
So yes, Gary, downloading a podcast is more meaningful than, having a like or a view on your Instagram account. So
Fair enough. Well, I wasn't trying to talk shit. I just honestly didn't know. I don't know.
no, I know. You're just a little a glib, You just don't know much.
I think we're doing
About
all
this
right.
type of stuff.
We've been consistent. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for that one time I had to go drive Matt's fucking 20 hours.
Dude, what was
Missed
that
it.
all about? So you
That was-
you have a new gym and it looks beautiful, man. Congrats.
Yeah. Everything
It looks
went well.
pretty
yeah,
big
dude,
too.
congrats. That's awesome.
Yeah, we expanded a little bit. We had an option of maybe expanding into a space that was right next door to our original space. But like I think that was too much. I think it was overdoing it. It was too much rent. So I found a space that's just a little bit bigger. We basically pay the same amount of rent. Obviously, it was still crazy expensive to just like there's lawyer fees and there's I had to pay for new mats and there's like I'm probably like fucking $50K deep in
How many
shit that you got to pay for. But
How-
it was still well worth it. Like I think we're gonna be able to grow into this space well. I have a cage that that not only can I train students,
Saw that.
I can also train myself. I really believe that like
Is
imagine
it full size or like a half a cage?
it's 25 feet, so it's standard for like small UFC events.
Okay.
So I'm a firm believer. Like imagine Chris, you sparred and you never sparred in a ring, and you
No.
just sparred in the open. Could you imagine doing that and preparing for a fight?
Nope.
It's fucking retarded, right?
Mm.
But dude, there's tons of MMA fighters out there that the only time they get into a cage is when they actually fight. They do no sparring sessions in cages. Like most of I would say most, especially the mainstream gyms, because they have tons of people sparring all the time. They don't fucking spar in a cage. They just spar like in the middle of the open. And I get why you need to when you have tons of people, but I don't know how people prepare for fights like that. It's crazy.
Well, I would imagine it's like necessary to do like the wall walks and like to get up from the mat and just to feel the bounce from the chain on your back, right? I mean,
I've sparred
give on the
kickboxing
cage.
in cages before. It's totally different. Like I've sparred kickboxing
Yeah.
in cages, like just for practice and whatnot. But yeah, no, the feel of a cage and the ropes are totally different. The bounce back is so different. Like there's no like you're
There's no
leaning back into a cage. There's a lot more room. Like if I lean back into the ropes, like I'm gonna bounce back pretty quickly. With a cage, it's like an extra, like an extra foot you're falling into, and your ass drops back.
Yes,
it's
yes.
changing levels, totally different thing.
Yeah, and you can't like with the ropes, your upper body has a little bit of play.
Yes.
Like you can kind of take your head and tilt it back and maybe slip a shot.
Mhm.
Whereas the cage, like that's like a lot of people get fucking KO'd on that. When they're like kind of walking away from a punch, they're turning their shoulder and everything, but then something comes in here that they can't move their head back and their fucking head gets knocked into the cage. You know.
Gary,
So-
how many active subscribers do you have? Not subscribers, like active people.
Oh,
in-
members.
Gym members.
Members, yeah.
I can't say 100% for sure. We don't have but it's somewhere. It's definitely over 100. I would say probably somewhere between 130 and 150. It's like a decent number of students. It's a pretty large number.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not really good with the business aspects of what I do, so that's why I'm a complete retard and don't actually know the number of students that I have. So.
Yeah, it's okay, man. Dude, so talking about retards, sometimes I sound like a retard trying to construct sentences. Do you guys know that this is like the only English conversation that I have like during the week with you fuckers?
Really, you sound better than both of us.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
interesting
Well, I'm
you
not
say
punching.
that.
Yeah.
Because you put notes like in the thing and you're like I have a conversation in English. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Are you reminding yourself to talk to us in English?
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
literally how I was gonna go.
That's exactly. Because I mean, I was playing back some of the podcasts and, sometimes I sound like an idiot, but, just wanted to let you guys know that.
I would say it
Not at all,
sounds
honestly.
super fluid, man. Like honest, like
I'm
you
just
sound-
so fucking hard on myself, guys.
yeah, like it definitely doesn't sound like English is a second language to you at all.
No,
like
not
in,
at all.
in any sense of the word.
Well, all right. Gary, so what was the whole Gatorade thing all about? I saw on your Instagram some of your students poured like, dude, you were shirtless. You have like the most random shit. You were shirtless like in the freezing cold, and they were pouring Gatorade on you.
Yeah.
Well,
So I do like
as if you were a football coach and won the Super
yeah,
Bowl.
exactly. So I do like a bunch of different
it was
promotions.
a mixture of that and the start of a porno movie.
I do like a bunch of promotional posts on my page, but like I like try to keep it all within like if I'm gonna do something promotional, I try my best to not be like, try this new fit tee, it's gonna be awesome, guys. Like I try to do something like a little bit more to the character of me, like because I like to do like funny stuff. And so every one of these videos that I make for like my bookie, that one was one for the NFL. It was for like the Super Bowl. I always try to like do something a little bit creative. So I didn't even talk about the game. I just talked about all the weird side bets you could make. And one of the side bets was like what color Gatorade was going to get poured on the winning coach or something like that.
Okay.
So that was like the last
Gotcha.
little bit of the thing.
So that's the kind of shit that I would bet on, since I'm not really a big sports
Yeah,
fan.
right.
Organized, like
Yeah,
I'd bet on
just
that
like
kind
the funny
of
stuff.
One of the other bets was would Shakira and J-Lo twerk, and clearly that bet
And they did.
was fucking confirmed. They did, and many
did.
people were mad.
Yeah. Jesus.
Although I will say, I have noticed people complaining about people being mad, but I haven't actually seen any videos or like posts from anybody actually being mad about it. Have you?
about them twerking.
Yeah, like about the halftime show. Have you heard of anybody actually telling you, like, hey, I really thought that was inappropriate? Because I haven't.
No. I would have thought like maybe they would get some heat from it being like it was like 50% in Spanish or something.
Yeah, they did get.
Like it was pretty Latin, huh? Yeah, they did.
They
I mean,
did.
the game was in Miami, and you had. You know,
Oh yeah, I mean it makes
I mean,
sense. Yeah, of course.
come on.
Of course.
If you don't speak
Hey,
Spanish
Chris.
in Miami, you're fucked.
Chris, I went to a kava bar. I
Oh,
went
yeah,
to a
okay.
kava bar this weekend, yeah, and I tried that kratom stuff. Have you guys had
Okay.
it?
Yeah, so
No.
let's what do you got? I literally had a big conversation about this last night.
So
I
I
heard a
went.
lot of like crazy things about this, so
Yeah,
I'm interested to hear firsthand.
I've
So-
been using it. I've been using it for months.
Yeah, I mean, my cousins were like, preaching about it all weekend, and they took me over there, and they're like, okay, we're gonna have this, we're gonna have one of these, okay? So we have the first one, and I'm like, I don't know, I don't really feel anything, and he's like, okay, wait, we need the second one. This one's really good, and then I have that one, and then they're like, okay, there's a third one now,
First of all,
That's
you're
even-
having these back to back.
dude. So I couldn't down my third one because I was too stuffed. We had like a fucking huge meal before. So I didn't really feel anything. And then when we were in the car, dude, I started feeling like super loopy.
Yeah,
It was weird. Like I felt like lightheaded.
it's
I wonder
very
if it's-
it's very dose dependent. So I utilize it when I commentate. So when I sit down for ESPN and Top Rank shows, I call every fight on the card. So I'm there for like 6 hours.
Yeah.
And I used to eat like a big meal beforehand because like I'm not gonna ever eat, but eat for a while, and then we have like gummy bears and like just little finger food to eat, like to kind of keep like your sugar levels up. And I would notice
THC laced gummy bears.
I would notice throughout the telecast that I would kind of like have ebbs and flows on my energy. So one day I just was expecting, normally they feed us right before, and I come to the show and there was no food. I'm like, shit, I didn't bring any food. I don't have time. Like I'm literally on the mic in a little bit. And a friend of mine gives me some kratom and like, here, just take this. And I'm like, all right. So I have that, and like I'm totally fine the whole show. Like 6 hours, no food. Like it was totally fasted, and I was super sharp the whole time. So now consistently, I go into every telecast fasted, and I just drink kratom, and I'm good, and my energy levels are straight for 6 hours.
So-
where generally I need to eat all the time, or I literally I crash.
This is
Okay.
coming from somebody totally uneducated. What like I honestly know very little about what this actually is, what it does for you, what are the dangers of it. Like I know nothing. Like
Yeah,
Oh,
so
you're
it-
gonna love it.
I just heard of
It's
I don't know, Frank.
it-
You're the coffee chimera.
in the street they call it boner fluid, so you might want to hit that. No, I'm
mean,
kidding. I actually
sold.
don't know
You don't
much
have to tell
about
me
kratom.
anything.
Like
I'm
it's
good.
Okay.
supposed to be like an
I do.
anti-inflammatory.
Yeah, I know a lot
Okay.
about it. So it's a leaf.
Okay.
It's really popular and common in like Malaysia and Thailand. I think
Okay.
Thailand, definitely Malaysia. And it's actually been like kind of demonized and made illegal over there because it was cutting into the heroin trade, because it's a very strong painkiller, like analgesic. So it kind of takes the place of what a lot of people are using for like hard drugs for painkillers.
Okay.
And it's currently kind of gray in terms of its legality in this country. I don't think you really can sell it yet or wherever. But I mean, they have it in
What
like
do you mean? I went to a kava shop in Miami.
in Miami. There's a bunch of them down in Florida. Like I've been to them there. Like in New York, it's
Well,
way stricter. Like we don't
And
have.
again, Florida is kind of like
So this is
Yeah.
something
Really
that's viewed
weird.
this is something that's viewed as like a supplement, like that you would buy at like that kind of a store, or like where would you get this for? Would you have to get it online?
It depends on what your state is, because state to state has different laws,
Okay.
and it varies on where you are. But we do have manufacturers in the states that are distributing it as well. There's a really good documentary from the guys who did Bigger, Faster, Stronger, or Stronger, Faster, Bigger, or whatever it is,
yeah.
called Leap of Faith, and he explains it really well.
Wait,
Interesting.
Chris, but your boy Ryan LaFleur has a kava shop. Does he not
He has
sell
a
kratom?
kava, but not kratom. No, because he's actually battling like the
The government,
like,
right?
the
Just trying to.
local
Yeah.
government right now trying to get it going.
Well-
So yeah, no, that's a kava, and they do mate as well.
Gary, you have a seminar in Florida coming up, so if you want to
I
hit
do.
that, check it
Yeah.
out. Just Google
Fort
kava.
Lauderdale, I believe.
When's that at?
They might have. Some.
It'll probably be the day after I'm fighting, or sorry, the day I'm competing in jiu-jitsu against Dustin Poirier.
Oh,
I don't
Dustin,
want to get
nice.
people too excited. But I think that's the 21st, so I'm guessing it's the 22nd would be the seminar.
Of February?
Yes.
Gary.
Shit. I'm gonna be in
How-
Vegas for the Wilder Fury fight.
Yeah.
How fast are you gonna sub them?
He says that like it's not going to be way more exciting.
I know, right? Like, oh darn, I can't go to your grappling
Yeah.
match. Gary,
Yeah.
how fast are you gonna sub them?
I don't know, dude. Like a lot of people, I really think people undersell his jiu-jitsu. I mean, he's a
I'll give you
legitimate
a
black
minute.
belt.
I'll give you a minute.
And- What?
I'm gonna give you
Think so, a
a
minute?
minute.
Listen, I know this. I know I am not, he said, as well as myself, I'm giving some of the purse away to charity. I don't know if he's giving his full thing away to the charity. I don't know what the deal is. I know he came
I think
out
I
like
read that.
very quickly and said something about giving something away to charity. I didn't really like look into it or read about it. But like I think some people get the sense that this is like some sort of exhibition or something like that, and like people can view it however they want. But like if I take a jiu-jitsu match, like I'm showing up to fucking compete. Like I'm not gonna be like, oh hey Dustin, like high five, like we're boys.
No.
Like no, like
Let's
hey
run
Dustin,
it,
like,
bitch.
we're about to fucking like we're gonna grapple, and like it's a serious thing, like the same way that he would treat a fucking MMA fight. Like I mean I'm obviously not punching him in the face, but it's the same. Like this is serious to me. This is my career. Like I don't fuck around. I'm not taking like fake fucking matches. So
Yeah.
I mean listen, whether God bless him if he donated all of his money to charity or half of it or whatever he did, but I'm treating this like a serious match, like any other match that I had before. So in that sense, like I'm gonna bring it, but in the sense that like, do I think I'm gonna submit him in 2 seconds? It really depends. I really can't say for
I
sure.
didn't say 2 seconds, Gary. I said 1 minute.
I know you said 1 minute, but this is like the kind of thing that people are saying. I don't think they give him enough credit. I think there's a lot of jiu-jitsu guys out there that aren't very good that could give me a tough time and make it hard for me to submit them in a long period of time. It's not like this thing where like if I'm just really good and you're not quite as good as me, that all of a sudden I'm just gonna sub you in like 10 seconds. I just don't think it works
That's a really great
Whoa.
distinction for people at home to listen to.
Yeah.
Like when you ever like, yeah, just I'm really good doesn't mean I'm knocking you out right away. Like
Yeah.
like I said, depending on the style that they bring, and how the fight's going. Sometimes you might grapple guys who are really really good and you catch them and get them like right away.
exactly.
And then
Yeah,
grapple a guy
like-
who's fucking
Like Edwin
pissed.
Najmi that I subbed in, I think it was 14 seconds in ADCC recently. Like that dude's fucking tough. It's not like he sucks.
Yeah.
Like me
Right.
subbing him in 14 seconds don't mean that he sucks. It just means
Right.
I happened to hit a great move really early on in the match that he wasn't ready for. Like
I mean that's why 1 minute is totally reasonable. So
Yeah.
Chris and I had a conversation about this before hopping on this call, and we're gonna give you 1 full minute to sub them.
oh, okay.
I wasn't involved in that
Yeah.
conversation.
And what do I get? What do I get if I'm able to
Well,
do
if
that?
not, I think we're gonna have to kick you off a podcast, man.
That's only fair.
Oh, this is performance based. I like performance
It's only
based.
fair. What is it that you're going to challenge yourself to getting kicked off the podcast if you don't do though? I think everybody must challenge himself if that's going to be the case.
Listen, we can brainstorm that a little later down the line.
Well, it's funny
come
because
up with
that you're grappling with Dustin because I boxed Dustin before. Like he's come
Oh,
down.
have you?
I sparred with him a handful of times.
How was that? Curious.
He's good. He's good. He's actually.
Yeah.
I mean, he's definitely. I don't know anything about his grappling, but I always knew his striking was really good.
Sure.
But he can box like
Yeah.
really
hear
well.
he,
for an MMA
he
guy.
has heavy hands.
He's big. He's a big
Yeah.
guy. Like he walks around like pretty heavy.
He may or may not have gained a little bit of weight somewhere later in his career
Uh-oh.
due to potential
Uh-oh.
circumstances.
Uh-oh. What are we insinuating here,
Interesting.
Gary?
It's always interesting to me when you look at somebody in like their early 20s and then you look at somebody like, I don't know how old Dustin is. Probably, I'm assuming he's in his 30s or close to it.
Mhm.
And they gained about like 30 pounds of muscle.
Yeah,
Are we
I'm still trying to figure out
starting
how
up
to do that. I'm like the same
rumors?
size.
Are
as
we
Vince.
starting up rumors now?
I'm not starting anything. I'm just saying it's interesting.
So Gary, what are you drinking? Is that the same bourbon you were drinking last time?
No, this is Nika Coffee Green Whiskey. It's a
Oh.
Japanese whiskey. It's pretty good.
Oh, they make good
With
whiskey.
coffee?
Yeah.
It has coffee in it?
I don't think it has coffee in it. Don't worry, I'm not cheating on your brand. I promise.
No,
It's just called
please do
Coffee
not.
Green.
No.
I don't think it has any. It doesn't
see.
taste like coffee.
I see the Chimera coffee in the background, Gary.
Yeah, always, man.
Speaking of which, I need some more Chimera. I need some of the white bag.
Need to send you guys and some of our
I
creamers.
do.
as well.
I'm actually running out
The
as
creamer's
well.
good, man. The creamer's really good. I like that beet one a lot. I'm actually
Yeah.
I'm drinking a mixture of citrulline malate and creatine right now.
Nice.
And beta alanine. There's beta alanine here too because I'm starting to get my thing.
Shit. You're starting to tingle?
Yeah.
Nice.
Beta alanine has paresthesis, which makes you that's when you know it's when you got enough.
Mm-hmm. It feels like there's ants all over your body.
Yeah, it's
Right.
like a very very mild electric shock, like just under your
Dude,
skin.
I took this energy
Sucks.
drink one time. I forget what it was. It was some company that was thinking of sponsoring us. I can't remember the name of it. Man, I've never been more like red and itchy in my entire life.
Yeah.
It must have had.
Oh, yeah.
What is it? Certain vitamin that makes that happen, right? Usually,
Niacin.
niacin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you-
I
yeah,
got that
niacin
fucking
plus,
niacin
yeah.
rush, dude. I
Mhm.
was in the middle of teaching. I was in the middle of teaching at Rutgers because I had taken the energy shot before that. And bro, I was like, I looked like a crackhead. I was like fucking scratching all over. I'm like, guys, I took some shit. They're like, okay.
It probably had both. It probably had niacin in there as well as some beta alanine because that tingle
Well, it's crack.
at beta alanine is really not fun.
So last time I saw Gary, he gifted me like some type of what was it, like a liquid or some shit. He's
yes,
like,
you're
he's
welcome.
like, dude, you gotta take this, dog. It makes your dick real hard.
So
It had like a dude.
When
It was
I
like in
first heard Gary
Chinese. It
gifted
had like
me
a
some
dragon on
liquids,
it.
You got to take this, dude. I was like, okay.
so recently so Jeff, are you guys familiar with Jeff Glover at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Crazy.
He's like a
Crazy
funny
one.
jiu-jitsu guy. He was like, he was kind of like us before us in the sense of, at least in the sense of like not taking jiu-jitsu like, you know, you have to fucking os everybody and be like crazy respectful. He was just like a normal dude, you know, and he had a lot of fun and made a lot of jokes and stuff. And he's a cool dude. But anyway, he used to call himself the pipe layer. Like that was like his nickname that he gave himself. And he would make like t-shirts and all kinds of shit, you know? So I'd always make posts like praising the pipe layer. And like one day he like passed the torch to me. He's like, you know, Gary, you're the new pipe layer now. So he gets this post and it's this guy.
Little
like,
pipe.
Yeah. Pipe layer junior, I call myself.
Yeah.
So he goes, in the post, it's just a screenshot of somebody that messaged him, and they're like, hey, you know, pipe layer, I really need some help. Like, you know, I've got like 4 different chicks that are going to be around this week. And like, I don't think I'm going to be able to, I don't think I'm going to be able to put out
service them
as
all.
much as I should.
Doesn't
And like,
sound like that guy needs any help at all.
and he's like, you know, I just want to lay pipe. Like, I don't want to have to explain to them that, like, you know, I have other girls or this, that, the other thing, and I don't want to make excuses. So he's like, Jeff, can you please help me? So Jeff just goes, since I crowned Gary the new pipe player,
Revert to
I'm
him.
gonna give this one to him. So I write a whole write-up on the page on Jeff's Instagram. It's like this whole long like paragraph about like what website to go to, how much to take, like everything. And
And you spent 30
like,
minutes on this
listen,
reply.
I'm like, whether it's an animal, human, they're fat, they're ugly, there's
Yeah.
people watching, you're being filmed. I'm like, you're gonna be fine. With this stuff, same stuff I gave Frankie.
Jesus. Oh, jeez.
Thank God
Guys.
for performance enhancing sexual enhancements.
That's performance too. That is performance.
So let's go to current events, guys.
On that
Nice
note,
transition,
On that
Frankie.
moving right along.
Moving right along.
Hey, you brought it up.
I walked right into that landmine.
Eyewitness News, where news comes first.
The comedian Ari Shafir that was talking shit on Kobe's death,
Oh shit.
which is like Joe Rogan's friend. He got canceled. Like all his shows got canceled. Comedy Central's show got canceled, and he's getting death threats. Like he even doubled down on. He didn't really apologize. He started making fun of like some other stuff. But dude, this guy, nobody's going to bat for him. Everybody's hating him, and I feel like this guy is in danger of his life, man.
Yeah,
Like,
he
people really want to hurt him.
I frequent a comedy club here in Long Island, and he was scheduled to be there. I think next month. They canceled it as well. because of that. Like the venues themselves were getting death threats saying like they're gonna fucking bomb the place if the guy comes.
Did you hear about this, Gary?
So I'm always a big, like, I tend to defend comedians no matter what because it's fucking comedy. I haven't seen exactly what this guy said, I don't think. I mean, you know, especially because it's not just Kobe and it was also like his daughter, you know, I think it's like a little bit more, I think it's a little like received probably a little bit worse than just like making fun of this, you know, celebrity.
Yeah.
But I mean, dude, as far as like comedians go, like especially if whatever it was, like maybe whatever he was saying like wasn't funny. Like I'll give people that. Like anybody's entitled to
Well, it
whether
was just very distasteful.
sure. Everybody's entitled to believe like whether or not somebody says something isn't funny. But I definitely think, especially when somebody labels themselves as a comedian, if this guy, like based on what you said, I don't know him personally. I don't think I've ever heard any of his stuff. But especially when somebody labels themselves as a comedian, like I really feel it's difficult for me to ever get too butthurt about anything that they ever say because their literal job is to shock and awe. Like that's what they're supposed to bring to the table. I'm not standing up for him and saying that anything he said was right. I'm simply saying that, like, I don't know, man. Like if it was me, like I'm probably not canceling the dude, you know, whether people fucking tell me my fucking club is bullshit
Well, the
or
thing
whatever.
is
I don't
that
know.
I think that people are just so enraged. Like I think it's more of like his life is in danger. Like people really want to
Yeah.
like hurt him.
A lot
Yeah.
of lives are in danger. So I know him, like I know of his comedy, and like this is kind of his shtick. This is his
Yeah.
thing. Whenever a celebrity dies, he like literally jumps on it immediately, and he's known for this.
Yeah.
This one, he jumped on it really soon. He had no idea about the kids and whatnot. He said that in his quote unquote, you know, apology and whatnot.
Yeah.
And this is what he does, and he's had an ongoing like beef with
Sure.
Kobe over a couple of years because like the Lakers have been kicking the shit out of his team for so many years and whatnot.
Yeah.
None of that makes it okay. I think he's a habitual line stepper, and he just
Sure.
stepped over the fucking line on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, even
Yeah.
his like peers, like some of his friends
Mhm.
said that was fucking a stupid comment, and that
Well, of
the
course,
guy,
that's
you know,
what they have to
needs
say
to
regardless.
reevaluate.
But
I forgot what comedian posted it, but he posted it right away, and he's like, rip to one of the best who's ever done it, and he's like, and I'm talking about Ari's career.
Ooh,
You know, it's like,
boom.
wow.
it's one of those things where, again, like I'm not disagreeing with you guys at all. Again, I didn't hear what he had to say. I'm not defending it on any level, but it's one of those things where like maybe it's not fucking funny, maybe it was in poor taste, this kind of thing. But I think like taking things to the level of like telling somebody that they should be fired, this especially because he's specifically a comedian. You know, if this was like somebody who worked for the government or something, or you know somebody who held some position where, you know, I guess that there's like a expectation that they have, you know, some sort of rapport. Like, dude, this is literally somebody that's just meant to be a fucking entertainer, and they made the wrong call. But they made the call like, this is the way I think people want to be entertained right now. Like, this is going to be the move. This is what's going to, like, you know, set the world on fire. But at the end of the day, like, it's going to be a good thing, you know. And they made the wrong call, obviously.
Mhm.
I don't like. Do we all really sit here and think, as bad as whatever comments he made, that's probably what the guy literally believes? Like, I don't. Most of the word, like anybody that sits and listens to a comedian talk and hears what they have to say and goes, oh man, how could you believe that? It's like, you're listening to a fucking comedian, bro. He doesn't believe that. He's saying something that he thinks is funny. I don't know. I don't
What do
know
you
what's
think, Chris?
going on. But
Honestly, like when I don't care. Like I heard it and I was like, ooh man, that was way too
Sure.
soon and really in poor taste. And like you just said, like I just didn't think it was funny. I didn't think it was a fun. Even the just
Sure.
the structure of what he said wasn't even funny to me.
sure.
But then on top of it, I was just like,
there was no nothing.
yeah,
Right.
dude, like that's
Yeah.
too
missed
too
the
soon. If there
Sure.
ever is too soon. But on top of it, I'm like, I put that over here and my life fucking keeps going. Like I don't like I'm not mad.
You're not gonna write any fucking emails. You're not gonna. That's what I think is weird for people. Like, why people spend their fucking time doing shit like that is so odd to me.
Yeah, life goes on. He fucked himself. Whatever. You know, like
Yeah, like don't go to his show. You know, that's
That's
my
it.
thing.
Right.
It's like, why are you writing the fucking people? And like, it's just weird to me.
Yeah. All right. Let's hit the nutritionist tips and hacks.
It's Chris's fitness tips. He's got for you. He's got the little tips. He's gonna give it all to you. just the tip. The little fitness tip. He's gonna give it all to you.
Superfoods for Faster Recovery by Chris Algieri.
Woo! All right, this is something that I talked about in a recent workshop that I did over on a gym in Long Island, and just a couple things that I think are like kind of like the go-to recovery foods for anyone who's training regularly, and especially guys who train like every day or even multiple times a day, like real, not real athletes, but guys who compete. So a big one that I think that maybe a lot of people don't understand or maybe have heard before, like vasodilators, which are certain compounds that are found within foods that what they do is they relax smooth muscles, which are the inside of what's in like your blood vessels. So your blood vessels, your capillaries will open up, they relax, which allows more blood flow. Blood flow is good for a couple of things. One, it obviously carries red blood cells. It carries, hey Cora, I got a dog over here. Carries red blood cells, carries hemoglobin, which carries oxygen. So carrying oxygen to working muscles is really important. So that's one thing. Number two, from the recovery aspect, it's twofold. One, it brings the nutrients that you need in order to rebuild broken down, damaged muscles for recovery. And two, it moves and flushes out inflammation. So around your joints, if there's any kind of inflammation, any kind of white blood cells, any kind of growth factors going on in there, any kind of things that are kind of mucking things up or any damaged tissues and whatnot, keeping the blood flowing through your circulatory system moves that shit away, moves it around so you can allow that kind of that inflammation to subside. And a lot of the times, the pain that we're experiencing when it comes from training or injury, it comes from inflammation more than anything. So anything that keeps the blood flowing is going to be really beneficial.
So hit us with some vasodilators.
Yeah, some specific vasodilators. One of my favorites and something that you'll see a lot in my on my posts are beets. I like beets, beetroot, beet juice, beet powder. They contain a lot.
Our creamer has beet because of that.
Exactly, and that's one of the reasons I like the creamer so much, and I use it as a pre-workout. So opening up those blood vessels, allowing all that blood to move into the working muscles during pre-workout's a really good idea. Works post-workout as well, like I said, for recovery. So beets are a good one. There's really good research on pomegranates, pomegranate seeds, pomegranate juice, especially as a pre-workout because it works faster than beets. Beets, you want to time about 90 minutes out, which kind of makes sense because the sugar content, it can kind of cause gastric, distress and whatnot. Pomegranate juice, not so much. Much more faster digesting and has that kind of relaxing epithelial, dilation effect much quicker. So they say within 30 minutes, pomegranate juice can have a good effect on your body and your blood vessels.
You know what that is, Gary?
Yes.
Pomegranate.
So I do like pomegranate actually. So I do actually pomegranate juice though. I'm not a big fan. The actual fruit's pretty
super
good.
tart. Yeah.
Juice is like kind of
really
weird
good.
for me. Like those palm drinks are awkward.
Yeah.
To drink. But I do have this question because like I went to school for exercise science as well. So like I learned a little bit, it's just a bachelor's, it's nothing crazy. So, but enough to like be curious about different stuff like this. So I had always wondered with the vasodilators, if it was one of those things where like, how much does dietary change and supplementation actually impact your ability to do it? Because it's like, I wonder if it's one of those things where like your body, like on the average person's diet is enough that they get whatever L-arginine or whatever it is that is helping them vasodilate, allows them to do it. And does the additional influx of beets, pomegranate, or taking a pre-workout that happens to have, vasodilator like L-arginine or whatever the case may be, how much does that actually help? Does it help? Or is it only really going to be impactful on somebody who had a deficiency in that particular area? Okay,
so I think with certain nutrients, yes. I think that if you it's kind of weird to phrase it, but yes, in terms of if your diet is lacking, that the supplementation will have a greater effect, and you'll see it profoundly. And then certain nutrients, know that if your diet is adequate and you're having you're getting nutrients from your actual food, that the supplements may not have much of an effect, but they may have some. And in terms of high level athletes, some is enough. 1% is more than enough. And I say this all the time with multivitamins. People are like, multivitamins, you're just making expensive piss, right? It just runs through Yes and no. It depends on your diet. If you're a 115-pound female athlete who may not be eating a tremendous amount of food, maybe you're weight restricted as
Sure.
well. The variety of the foods that you're eating may not be that
Yeah.
grand, so you might be missing certain things.
Yeah.
Secondly, if you're maybe you do eat, you're a man and you're a bigger size and you eat a lot of food, but you're very strict in the way that you eat, you might be missing certain amino acids, certain
Sure.
nutrients, certain micronutrients.
Yeah.
So having that blanket of, like, for example, a multi-mineral, multivitamin is not going to hurt you, and it's super
Yeah.
cheap. So
That makes
But-
sense. I
yeah.
feel the same way about that. I feel
Do
the
you
same way,
take-
especially about multivitamins, because it's just like, hey, man, like if I'm missing anything at the bare minimum, we got it covered. Like,
Yeah.
can't hurt.
If I miss out
There's no
95%
evidence to
of
show
it-
that it's going to hurt me. So,
Right.
it's
Oh,
all
you
right.
don't think the Five Guys diet covers all that? No?
Probably not.
You guys,
But honestly,
Uh,
there's actually research out there about, like, high-level athletes and people training, and like how you can survive and flourish on diets that are maybe like considered like nutritionally unsound and eating foods like that. And like look at guys like Usain Bolt. The guy ate like chicken nuggets at the Olympics.
Yeah, there was a huge story on that.
Yeah, like he's
He ate,
getting
like,
enough
what, like
calories. He ate like
3,000 chicken nuggets in a week
something
or
He was,
something like
crazy
that?
he
like
was
that,
like
yeah.
scared to eat the food when he was out in, I think it was in China where
Yeah.
he was something. So he was like, you know what? Fuck it. Chicken nuggets, those are safe. Like, that's fucking-
I know, man. I had a really fucked up time finding like the food that I'm used to eating when I was out there. I had a lot of trouble with that. So
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I'm
I
out in
get
Asia
it.
so fucking much. It's a tough thing. It's a tough
Mhm.
thing to find safe food.
What do you do, Gary, when you go over there? Like, what's your diet look like?
So in general, at that point in time, once I'm already in Asia, I'm already like carb depleting because I'm trying to cut a significant amount of weight. So mostly I'm just eating meat. But the tricky part is like there's a lot of seasoning and sauces that they use
Sodium.
on things. And there's a language barrier. So it's like a difficult thing for
MSG?
me to yeah, it's difficult thing for me to communicate the idea that like I don't want anything with salt or seasoning on it. So what I typically do, they have a lot of these types of places in Asia, is try to find a place where they allow you to cook your own meat. They have like whether it's like a Korean barbecue type of spot or like there's other cultures that do it too. There's like some sort of Japanese barbecue sort of thing that they do it. They'll just give you the raw meat, and as long as it's unmarinated, you can be pretty sure that they didn't season it with anything, and you can taste the difference. You'll know.
Yeah.
So that's what I usually do, is try to go to one of those places, and then in addition to the fact that it's not seasoned, I know that I'm like cooking it enough. You know what I mean? Like I'm not scared about the way that it's being cooked because I can literally just overkill cook it and make sure that everything that's in there is getting killed. You know?
What did you do, Chris,
Makes
when you went
sense.
over there?
Well, I gave them a list, and I had like food
Oh,
like,
okay.
shipped
Yeah.
in and brought it like to my room.
Yeah.
Like I had like everything stocked up.
Yeah. The hotel stuff is usually pretty safe. Like I feel
Yeah.
pretty confident in anything that the hotel does because they're used to dealing with like Westerners and like special food requests and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was in like the nicest hotel in Macau, and like
Yeah, I would imagine.
I heard Macau is like
you got the
fucking crazy
5-star
nice.
treatment.
crazy.
It's
crazy.
like this like big. Were you in? Because I'm not sure. Because I'm pretty sure I remember Tom fought there for one of his UFC fights.
Mhm.
Were you in like this giant ass mall?
Well, that was across the street. I was in the Venetian, which is right by that. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
So now that we're talking about nutrition, I have a question from Heather P. So she says, my good friend is a former D1 basketball player and has struggled with her weight since starting grad school. She purchased an Instagram model's diet plan. She basically only drinks detox tea and meal shakes. She's convinced this is going to jumpstart her metabolism. And then
Did
she
she
asks,
also get-
won't this
sorry.
have negative side effects?
Did she also get the fake tits and ass along with the diet plan because
This
she
is a
knows
good-
that that's
I'll
what she
ask her.
needs in addition, as
I'll
well
ask
as
her, and
the
then
job.
I'll ask her for her friend's handle for you, Gary.
Yeah,
we should
I
also
think
get her.
I think with the booty tea, they comes at a discount code for fake tits. So. So
So what do you think about that, Chris?
And
This-
also, just real quick, I want to be clear. I'm not knocking fake tits and asses. I love those.
no, none of
Please
us are.
continue to keep getting those. Those are wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this podcast is,
I'm glad we cleared
Definitely
that up.
yeah.
Just want to clear the air.
In case anyone was wondering. Yeah, so this is pretty common. Like I said, I worked in D1 athletics before with Stony Brook University, and and I mentioned this in other podcasts, like how regimented a college athlete's day is and their life. Literally they're in 15-minute intervals. They know exactly what they're doing for weeks and months at a time. So when that ends, that can become tremendously difficult to maintain any kind of fitness or regimen or routine where you have to do it yourself, where these athletes haven't had to do that for 4 or 5, sometimes 6 years, depending on what kind of athlete they were in high school. So this is a big issue that I think a lot of graduates or even professionals who retire, once you have to enter real life and have to, like going from burning 4,000 or 5,000 calories a day and eating 35 to 4,000 calories a day to having to drop that to 2,000 just to maintain or to keep yourself lean. And then now it's like you're bringing in, if you're working, for example, you've got work lunches and going out.
It's
to
a drastic change, huh?
Big change. Your body's ability to deal with that. You're going to have some pretty stark rebounds. So that's that's something that definitely I think is important for people to acknowledge and understand. And then maybe, they're going to have to do some research on their own and understand that you don't need to eat like an athlete anymore. Regular people and athletes eat completely different. The calorie needs are so drastically different. I see that in myself. Even when I'm done fighting, like when I'm done after a fight camp, I eat so much less because I'm just not moving as much. I don't need to. Luckily, my body is pretty good at understanding like calorically what I need to eat more, when I don't need to eat as much. But this is where things like I think fasting come into play really, a lot. Like Frankie and we've talked about fasting quite a bit. And I think that for everyday people, if you're not an athlete who's training every day or multiple times a day, I think fasting is fantastic. Just giving yourself some gut rest, giving yourself some time to take in less calories, or give yourself less time to actually take in calories. But when you're talking about, those Instagram model fucking diets, I mean, most of the time, those people who are selling them, they're 22 years old. So they don't really need a diet anyway. When we were 22 or 2019 and I was eating fast food and training all the time. Well, Gary still does that, but I was doing that too, and drinking all night and still was lean. So those people, listening to them is,
and to be honest, from this scenario, I don't think that any a good nutritionist would recommend a diet of detox tea and meal shakes. I think that the meal shakes
bullshit. Detox teas are bullshit anyway. There's no tea that's detoxing. Your body detoxes, your liver detoxes, your kidneys detox. You have systems in your body for detoxification. Tea is not going to make you fucking detox.
I love these. I love these these things where they talk about like detoxification, and it's just like what are these toxins that we're talking about? Like I want them specifically identified. Like what is it that we're getting rid of?
And this brand is called
stuck in our body that we need this tea for.
And the brand is called Boo Tea Detox.
Yeah, exactly. You know what the toxins are? It's the fucking cigarettes that these people smoke on they choose to, and it's the booze that they drink. Those are the biggest toxins that they are dealing with. So like, I need this detox tea because I smoked a pack of cigarettes last night and drank 14 rum and cokes. Like, no, you need to have a little bit of sense and not eat and drink so damn much.
Yeah. I will say it's a huge wake-up call, like you said, when your caloric needs shift. Because even when I had gotten surgery at one point, I was out of training for like 8 weeks. And fuck, dude, I gained weight fast because I couldn't really do anything physical at all because it would all kind of relate to swelling in the joint that I had gotten surgery on. And fuck, dude, like I had to change things very quickly. Like I got to 190 pounds, which is very, very heavy for me.
Yeah, damn.
Like fast, like a week, 2 weeks. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like I need to drastically adjust the way that I'm eating or I am not, like I'm going to be fucking 250 pounds. So I ended up having to do that. I did a little bit of fasting. I adjusted some of the foods that I was eating, this, that, and the other thing, but you're 100% right. I remember my uncles like just believe everything that they hear. They have like no sense of like what's correct and what's not.
That's my dad. Yeah.
So he was like, listen, I know you're getting in shape and all this stuff, but just remember that like, when you stop, all that muscle turns to fat. And I'm like, well, actually, we learned that's not biologically possible, but sure.
Well, thanks,
whatever
buddy.
it is that you
I'll
like
take
to
it from here,
Uncle John. But he would, and I'm like, well, has it ever occurred to you that these athletes that stop, it's not because their muscles turning into fat, it's because they're still eating 8,000 calories a day and they're not going to practice. Like,
they're not training 3 hours a day.
Yeah,
and he's giving you this advice while eating potato chips and drinking beer on the couch
with a gut and a fucking
9 years a fucking night.
Gary,
So-
you should be careful. You won't be like that forever. So, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't you think that meal shakes should be like more of a supplementation or a complement to, a lifestyle, depending on, what it is that you actually do?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and the constitution of the shake really depends on, like what you said, what your lifestyle is like at that time, which activity level is like, what your ultimate goals are, but also just like where you place that shake. Is it going to be your morning shake? Is it going to be your post workout shake? Is it going to be your evening shake? And kind of manipulating the macronutrient constitution of those shakes, I think, is really important to understand in terms of, all of those factors I just mentioned.
I think it'd be a reasonable expectation to replace maybe like one meal with a
Mhm.
shake. But
Yeah,
like
I agree.
taking like your entire diet and replacing it with just fluids seems like I don't know the science behind it. Like
Mhm.
specifically, I don't know if there's any studies that show that it's not okay. It just seems like it's not a good idea. Like just using common sense.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, food always wins. And
I
I'm
think
a
so.
whole food guy, and just there's that synergy of food and nutrients that science just can't beat that. We haven't figured that out yet. Nature
Sure.
knows what's best for us. So eating whole foods is always your best bet. But yeah, like you said, like mixing in a shake, as one meal a day or in between meals, I think that's totally fine. But you got to be careful not to overdo it.
Yep.
It's Gary's product review. Shit nobody needs, but Gary buys
Daddy's
too.
product preview time.
Yeah,
All right.
what do we got? What do we got?
Gary,
This is
what do you
something-
got for
This
us,
is something
man?
I got in the Philippines. I
Okay.
think this is fairly common there. It's a little
So
wooden
it's a little
guy,
wooden,
and he's in a
what is that?
barrel.
a wooden
He
man in
drunk?
a barrel,
Oh, he's not drunk.
and you
he's
lift up
horny.
the barrel, and he exposes a wooden penis.
I like the fact that his cock is like 40% of his body.
I would, yeah,
Just like us.
I wouldn't expect nothing less from Gary.
That's awesome.
So what inspired you to get this artwork?
So
This-
apparently, it was actually my mother. My mother told me that that's like a famous thing in the Philippines or something like that. And she's like, "We have to find them. We have to find them." And she actually
So
found it
how
for me.
exactly does your mom explain this little wooden cock barrel dude to you?
Wooden
I mean-
cock barrel, dude.
I mean, she was just like, "Gary, like this is like a famous thing in the Philippines. We have to get one. I'm gonna go find it." I'm like, "All right, Mom, I got to worry about having a fight, but you go find the cock barrel guy." Like this is the family
Oh,
environment.
so that's
I'm
exactly
doing.
how she explained it.
You know, it's
Yes.
also
The Gary the cock barrel.
what's also quite famous in the Philippines is the girl with the skirt who also has a cock. So you got that's a whole
Lady
nother.
boys.
That's
I
a whole nother.
actually felt like there were more. I mean, I'm sure it's not necessarily the case, but I actually thought there was more trannies overall in the Philippines than there were in Thailand. Like I just felt more exposed to it, if that makes any sense. I don't know. And maybe I just recognized them more in the Philippines, but yeah, maybe it was where we were.
So Gary, now you have to buy the pair, the Ladyboy one, so you could have both of them.
Yeah, with the skirt.
What's up with your fight, man? I saw that you were campaigning for it. Are you gonna get it or what?
I'm working towards a title fight. We'll see. It seems like it's
Made a lot of
pretty
noise.
guaranteed I'm going to be fighting in April. It's not 100% certain whether or not I'm getting the title. That's actually what this next interview that I got to take right after this podcast is about. They saw me pumping up, the call out, and now they all want to fucking talk to me about, oh, why'd you call him out? This, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. So hopefully that helps propel. I mean, it got me a bunch of media attention, so that's usually a first step to like getting the fight. So even if this isn't the title, it's going to be one more before it. But I'm crossing my fingers at the actual title fight because man, I just haven't had a fight in so long. I just figured like, man, if the guys that are next in line for the title don't want to fight me, and I understand why.
Is it because guys don't want to fight you?
I think
What do you
so. I
think?
think it's.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good fight for anybody really. Before it was
Yeah.
a good fight. Before like it was a guy. I would come in.
You
I
were
didn't have
starting
a lot of MMA experience, and I just was jiu-jitsu guy. So it's like, all right, he's got a big name in jiu-jitsu. If I fucking beat the shit out of this guy, I'm gonna look really good. And I just think it looked really good for other people. But now it's like, now they know that I have at least some level of striking ability. I can hang. I can do a lot of different things in MMA. It's not like I'm just gonna like come out there and pull guard and I'm super nervous and I'm afraid to get hit. I think they understand that that's not who they're dealing with now. So they know they're gonna deal with a tough dude. It's not gonna be an easy fight, you know, even if I'm inexperienced. So I just don't think anybody's really, because before the guys that I was fighting like had no, like not much of a name, right? So if I was gonna fight somebody, if they beat me, it was gonna propel them, you know, super high. You know, even in the MMA world, just because I like had a name in jiu-jitsu. But now, like the guys that I'm gonna fight, like they already have like an okay name in the MMA community, and a loss is like a little bit more of a liability. Those other guys didn't have much to lose. Like if it was a loss, it's like, all right, well, I lost to like the best jiu-jitsu guy in the world, no big deal. But now it's like, oh man, this guy's only had 5 MMA fights. Like I don't want to lose to this fucking guy, you know. So I don't know. I'm just trying to walk myself through what they're thinking, you know?
Yeah, and from an outsider's perspective, you have a face that looks like you take a punch. You know, you just have one of those faces that looks
many punches.
Your noggin.
Say, Frankie?
No, it looks like you could take a shot, dude. It's a compliment, bro.
Oh,
just take it. Just take it.
Okay, I'll just take it. Sure.
Gee, thanks.
So we have another question. It's from Tyler. He asks, what do we think about antidepressants? Okay, wait. So we have a question from Tyler. What do you guys think about antidepressants? There's a stigma around that people who take them are weaker.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't heard that stigma, but I mean,
I think.
Okay, I'll stop you right now, Tyler. We were about to make some shit up. We actually don't know anything about antidepressants, but now with that being said, Chris, take a crack at it.
Yeah, we really shouldn't be speaking from a professional standpoint on this.
Sure.
I know a lot about the side effects, especially with how they pertain to kind of like metabolism and kind of nutrition, like causing like hypoglycemia and things like that, and having kind of like weight issues related to a lot of them. And SSRIs have tons and tons of side effects. So in that sense, there's that, and that's something you got to kind of be aware of. But also, I mean, I don't know. I think if you need them, I mean, there are people out there who are chemically imbalanced, and that, you know, there is probably a place for them if they're not over prescribed. But yeah, honestly, from a professional standpoint, I really don't have a whole lot to chime in on that.
Yeah, I mean,
we
I
could
would
totally
say this.
just bro science this up and say, yeah, dude, they do make you weaker. The stigma is completely true.
They totally shrink your dick. So yeah, no.
I would say this. I think that most people have a general, especially males, would have a general inclination that like we want to try to like self-solve all of our problems and never have to like reach out and get help for literally anything, whether it's help from another person or whether it's help from a drug or whatever. I mean, just think about it. Like, think about how many people that struggle with like erectile dysfunction and stuff and would never go to a doctor to get like what they want. Like, they would just buy it online, right? Like, it's just, there's so many things out there
or buy them from you, you know,
or buy them from me. So like, there's so many things like that out there that like, I think, especially men, but I'm sure there's just many people in general, just like they struggle to just admit that like they have some level of difficulty in life. And I don't want to relate to it as weakness, because I think we all struggle in different ways. I think that not just mental illness, but just mental issues in general are starting to come to light a little bit more than they have been in the past. I was actually kind of talking to a group of people tonight. We were just having this general conversation about how we, as a people, have started to tackle different issues. And I think that in the past, we just didn't have the time. Like, if we look at like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I think it's happening on a grander scale with society than it does individually. So like, first we're worried about what we're going to be able to eat. And if we get well fed, maybe we're worried about where we're going to be able to stay and be well sheltered and this, that, and the other thing. And then you work your way all the way down the list. And all of a sudden you're worried about like, is my life worth meaning? Like, you're not worried about your life meaning anything if you don't have anything to eat. You're worried about something to eat. I think as a society, we've gotten especially in, you know, nations where, you know, we have something to eat and we're, you know, well taken care of and this, that, and the other thing. We work ourselves through all these problems, and now all of a sudden we're getting to the point where like, all right, a lot of those problems are solved, and now we're getting to, like, oh, like mental issues and this, that, and the other thing. And before, maybe we would have ignored them because we just had bigger things. Like, for instance, World War II. It's kind of hard to focus on other things than like that, you know, because it seems like a pretty big deal. And even just wartime mental illnesses and things like that, we're starting to pay more attention to. We're paying more attention to it with fighting, with CTE. These are all things that have been going on for years and years and years. But I think just now we're starting to get enough peace and enough brevity to actually like look at them. And I think that for a little while it's going to be like a little rocky, and certain people are going to have misconceptions about things. Me having ADHD, I get people all the time, and I hear people all the time saying, oh, ADHD is not real, it's bullshit, they're just trying to drug up a bunch of kids. And like, do I think it's overdiagnosed? 100%. But do I think there's a lot of people really struggling with it? Like, I work with a lot of kids with special needs that have real problems with their ADHD, even more so than myself. And like, dude, without any level of like supplementation from some sort of medicine, I think they would have a real tough time like integrating into society on any level. Like, it would be very, very difficult for them. And for people to just come out there and be like, oh, that's not real. And I think that's what happens with a lot of mental illnesses too. Like, maybe this is what this guy's experiencing. Maybe he's experiencing a lot of people being like, oh, you don't need that. You don't need those antidepressants. It's all bullshit. It's the pharmaceutical companies just trying to make money. And is that happening on some level? I'm sure it is. But there's we can't deny that there's not definitely some people, like you said, Chris, that like have issues that are going to be really difficult to deal with, or at least be able to level out so that you can start to deal with, which is actually what ADHD medicine did for me. It like helped me kind of level. Like, I don't take ADHD medicine anymore, but I really believe that as a child, it helped me kind of slow things down to the point where I could look at what I was doing and go, oh shit, this is what other people are doing. This is what I'm doing. And like, what I'm doing is like not working. Like, this is going to fuck with not just me, but also them. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to take some time for people to get used to all this. But if I was somebody taking antidepressants, man, like, if you need them, you need them. It is what it is, man. Especially if like a doctor is telling you need it and you're having a lot of problems in your life and you've tried other ways to deal with it. I mean, dude, I wouldn't look down on somebody for needing antidepressants.
And if you're like an athlete or just someone that needs to step up their game while on antidepressants, you can just take some steroids, and you know that.
Yeah, we can always fix it that way.
Fix it that way.
I'm sure that's medically advisable to take something else that could mentally
just take some
you.
some good old fashioned Winstrol.
Just some GH and get going.
Some fucking Winstrol.
Yeah.
All right, guys. This was a good one. This was a good one, guys. Yeah. So, Tyler, sorry we couldn't help you out.
Sorry for ranting for 35 minutes about basically telling you that I don't know shit, Tyler.
Basically, Tyler, you're not a pussy if you need antidepressants.
I don't think you're a pussy, though.
You're all
That's
good, doggy.
my personal opinion if you're taking them.
Yeah, and if you want to get stronger, just drink that Chimera coffee, man. That shit'll fucking clear everything right up, even your sinuses, you know?
Yes.
So, hey, so our podcast Gmail is fleshwoundpodcast@gmail.com. Keep the questions coming, and we love you guys. All right, biatches. Peace
I
out.
move for no man, no man, no man, no